There are two things that have to happen that are non-negotiables if you're going to restore a family. I was recently asked by a gentleman, how is it that my ex and I, my son's mom, have such a great relationship? I mean, me, her boyfriend, and my wife, we like to hang out. We like to do things together. We have a group chat together. And people always ask, like, how are you guys able to do that? I mean, just last week, he called me, my son's mom's boyfriend called me on his birthday to introduce me to his mom and his aunties and everything else. And they were just like, how do y'all have this relationship? How was this possible? And it wasn't always like this. You know, my son's mom and I, we didn't end well, like at all. Like our breakup was so bad that it got to the point where we didn't talk for 2 years, which means I didn't talk to my son for 2 years. And it wasn't until he called me when he was like 9 years old and, you know, wanted to reestablish the relationship and the connection that the possibility of what I just talked about even got created. And when me and my son's mom finally started to see eye to eye after a couple year break, you know, it took my wife a minute to just be like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't know if I want to talk to her like that. I don't know if I want to, you know, have that kind of relationship. And it wasn't until she did one of the two things that I'm going to tell you that is required to repair any type of relationship and build a better relationship, especially for the kids. She had to do one of those things that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But now they coordinate everything with the kids and my travel back and forth to California to be able to visit my son. And it got to the point where my son's mom, we've gotten so close that, you know, she came for my daughter's baby shower and made all the dessert and helped set up for the party. And like she catered to my wife for the new baby coming, right? Because we now believe that it takes a village. But the last person to truly get comfortable with the entire idea was her boyfriend. Because me and her didn't talk for 2 years, you know, it means that he came into the picture and I wasn't there. So when I finally started coming back into the picture, you know, he was uncomfortable with the entire idea because he didn't know what was going on. He had never experienced a blended family before. And so for years, he wouldn't even talk to me. And then one day, he decided to talk to me. And now we're like super close, right? And it's like my son has a bonus dad, right? That I now get to go to or have conversations with when we have, you know, challenges with our son. And so a lot of times people ask, like, how were we able to build that, right? They go, oh, I couldn't do that. And that's my point. There are two things that have to happen that are non-negotiables if you're going to restore a family. Part number one is that everyone has to have the same desire and the same commitment to building the same picture. We wanted what we experience now. We wanted to be able to go on vacations together. We wanted to be able to go to dinner together. We wanted to have the group chat that we have. This was a desire that my son's mom and I had. We knew we weren't going to be together, but that doesn't mean we couldn't have a great relationship, and a lot of times better than the one we had when we were together. So we wanted that. And then I had to enroll my wife into that. And then she had to enroll her boyfriend into that. But number one thing that has to happen is everyone has to have a shared vision of what they want the relationship, the family dynamics to look like. That's part number one. Part number two, the second thing that has to happen is everyone has to be willing to look into the mirror to see where they personally get in the way of that shared vision coming into reality. It can't be, well, they're the ones that need to take a look at themselves. No, every last one of us is in a position where we are in the way of that shared vision. There are things that we do, stories that we have in our minds that get in the way, values and beliefs and pieces of our self-image that get in the way of creating that shared vision. And so it can't just be one person needs to fix themselves or one person is the problem. No, every single person involved in that family dynamic is somehow in the way. No one's exempt. And whatever we don't address, we pass down to the next generation. Our relationship that we have just didn't magically happen. We were willing to put the work in. We were all willing to take a look at ourselves and see where we got in the way. And because we did that, we have something so beautiful that now all of our kids can enjoy. And I wish the same thing for you. So if you have any desire to rebuild a connection with someone that you love, you both have to have a shared vision of what you want the relationship to be like and look like and feel like. And both of you have to be willing, all of you have to be willing to take a look at yourself in the mirror and see where you personally get in the way. Until next time.